Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Good? I hope you guys are enjoying the event. It's been actually a great event. Cardano Foundation has done a great job organizing this event. And I actually want to thank Cardano Foundation for inviting me to speak today. My name is Dr. Navjit Dhaliwal. I'm the founder and CEO of Iogon. And I'll be speaking right before Charles. So it's a little nerve-wracking. But not as nerve-wracking as when the dishes are dirty and the wife comes home, right? So a little bit about Iogon. So we are a shared storage economy. That's the slogan we go by, and I'm going to go into my spiel. So there's a big problem today in regards to data compliance. And what I realized early on in my days as a healthcare professional was there's a lot of non-compliance and regulatory issues, not just in the blockchain space, but in the traditional space in general. And that relates to privacy as well, security, unused capacities, and also rising costs, right? So we hope to plan to solve these issues, especially in regards to patient privacy or customer privacy, and also to make it more secure and at the same time cost effective. So how we plan to make it more private is give control back to the user and also make them set settings in terms of what they want to share, how long they want to share it for, and who they want to share it for. And also make it secure in the sense that dual layer encryption, sharding, encrypted, and also at the same time private key access. We plan to reduce the eco footprint by using the unused capacities. There's a lot of data centers around the world that don't use the full capacities, and also machines as well that aren't using the full capacities available to them. So by doing so, we make it more efficient and also more cost effective. So this industry is rising rapidly. It's going to grow about almost double in the next 4 years. A lot of companies, enterprises, and people are digitizing their assets and also transferring a lot of the information to the cloud, right? So it's an ever-experienced field, archiving files. A lot of files are being digitized, and we hope to be the forefront of that. So what does Iogon do? How do we do it differently than other storage providers or decentralized storage providers? In simple terms, we are the Airbnb for storage and compute. So we match the user's needs, end users' needs, with the resource providers. And what we want to do is also automate the compliance aspect. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about, the biggest issue, compliance, GDPR, especially because we're in the EU. We're in Switzerland, even though they're not part of the European Union, they are part of the GDPR. And I think that this is the biggest issue today facing not just developers and small projects and startups, is compliance and regulations when it comes to data. So just a little stats out there. These are conservative stats, so I want to make sure to take these stats with a pinch of salt, okay? They're also based off large enterprises. They're not based on small SMEs, because it's very challenging for not just governments, but also enterprises to understand what GDPR is, what GDPR compliance is, right? 50% of businesses know little or nothing about GDPR. 30% of EU companies are not GDPR compliant. 20% of businesses believe they are now GDPR compliant. Not very promising numbers. 27% of companies spent over €500,000 on trying to be GDPR compliant. And a lot of projects probably thinking, okay, that's a lot of money to be GDPR compliant, right? And that's what we were trying to do, solve this problem of automating compliance, right? So all these stats put together just makes us realize that a lot of companies don't understand what GDPR compliance is, or they haven't really gone in depth and to understand GDPR compliance, or they just kind of glossed over and said, okay, no, we don't need this. But if we don't do that, we are going to be part of that last number, the last stat there that's showing around 1.5 billion euros fines just in early 2022, right? And I remind you that these are largely large enterprises, right? Because governments don't have the money or the capacity and the resources to go after the SMEs. But it will come a time where they will go after SMEs. And once they have the tools, once they have the resources, there will be a time where startups will have to become GDPR compliant. And it's best to stay ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to compliance and regulation. So what we plan on doing is automating GDPR compliance. And that's easier said than done. The premise of GDPR specifically is data is not transferred outside of EU. All right? That's not the only, obviously GDPR is much, much more complicated than that, right? But the premise is not transferring data outside of EU. So what we want to do is match the resource providers, which are only in EU, with the users' demand. So that can also go in hand with regulation across the world in Australia, Canada, anywhere else that have their own data set regulations and specific regulations, right? So recently we're building an API that will integrate with enterprises seamlessly to make them make automated compliance. And last year, we transferred over from, we migrated from Ethereum to Cardano. So the reason why was security issues on Ethereum, and we had a lot of synergies with Cardano in terms of building up from research-based up to developing the core of the product and then adding modularly afterwards, right? So we believe that Cardano is the best way forward. And we recently launched our MVP. It's available on desktop, so not mobile friendly. What it does basically is you can sign on with your Cardano wallet, you can upload files, download files, and also at the same time delete files. That's a very simplified MVP. A little bit about our roadmap and what we've done. We've been founded in 2017, so we've had a long road behind us and also ahead of us. We have government grants from Innovation Norway. We also have SkatteFUNN, which is an incentive for innovative companies in Norway as a tax incentive. And also, a lot of people might look at the word patent there. Obviously, it goes against the grind of open source community, but at that time, it was more of a business decision, and we invested a lot of time, effort. We wanted to. That's the decision we took. What's not on the roadmap is we developed, we implemented the proof of burn. So Charles actually, he put out a challenge jokingly out there, and he said that he would give us a lobster NFT, whoever completed it first. So we're going to call out Charles today to hand us over the lobster NFT. What's going further is we're developing API for research providers and enterprises. So I won't go into too much into token economics. You guys can check that on our website, Iogon.com. But what I tell you about the business model in terms of how resource providers can earn and benefit and how users can benefit. So as a resource provider, you can lend your storage, your compute, and earn IAG tokens off of that. As an end user, you pay either in stables or ADA. We haven't decided on that yet, depending on the stables that come out on Cardano. And also, the people that are staking IG can earn transaction fees from the network. Again, I won't go too much into the investors and the backers, but the bigger ones are Innovation Norway and SkatteFUNN, which are government funded. And this raise from last year, and what we've spent on and what our runway is for the future. So this is what we did last year. We raised about 3.6 mil. Again, this is public information. You guys can feel free to check it out. I'm trying to save some time. A little bit about our team. So this is a co-founding team, myself, Dr. Lad Harrison, who's a machine learning AI expert, and we have Dr. Rohit Gupta. He's actually, his thesis back in 2005 in regards to decentralized compute relates directly to our mission. He's a former director of technology for Expedia as well. And then we have Dr. Claudio Lima, who's a telecom and he's a cloud computing expert as well. He's a former CTO of Huawei in East Asia. And we have obviously a distributed team like the rest of the projects here and all around the world. You know, it's hard to find expertise in local countries, but we have a distributed team across the world, Australia, Poland, Norway. I think Darren's with us today, one of our advisors, so a lot of people might know Darren Camis. He's former senior advisor for Margo, and he also knows a lot of people in the Cardano and IHK realm. If Darren's here, I'm not sure where he's. Yeah. So that's my spiel, and just want to emphasize a little bit about data compliance, and just go over it. A lot of projects and devs kind of gloss over that fact, right? So data compliance, I can't stress how important that is. Okay, in recent events, obviously showed us that not just compliance in general, but regulatory and administration procedures are very important to any project. Okay, and everyone should take that seriously. Not just the project or the CEO, but also the team in general. It's very important that we follow compliance and regulation. It's not going anywhere, and you know, it's here to stay. Before I'll tell you what was actually more. In the beginning of the speech, I said that it's a little bit stressful, and you know, it's not as stressful as the wife coming home to dirty dishes. So I'd say it's a little bit more stressful with the wife. But before we bring on Charles, I'd just like to say that we'll give him more time. So I want to finish early. Make sure that he hands out our lobster NFT. Hopefully, you guys can call him out as well. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.